Hey y'all, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Of course I have to adjust the camera a little bit. So today, if you can't tell, we're going to be talking about eyebrows, and I'm going to try to show you this trick super quickly because it really does make things a whole lot more simple. I tried to film this video yesterday. A couple of you guys hopped on live with me and it was a hot mess. I was not all here. I had been sleep deprived and yeah, I was just all over the place. And so I decided to delete that video and try again today when I was a little bit more well rested. So thankfully, thanks to oils, and I was able to get a good night's sleep last night. And I'm going to show you guys what I've been doing the last few days to do my brows. I'm going to show you on this eye. So this is actually a very tried and true method for getting your brows kind of symmetrical. It was just a friend of mine did a video kind of adapting that principle or that trick, that old tried and true trick to Savvy Minerals, and I was like, why haven't I been doing it this way? I don't know. I think because I watch a lot of YouTube and most people do their brows differently these days. They don't use the old tried and true method anymore. And for those of us that have uneven brows or sparse brows or invisible brows like I do due to having naturally blonde hair, it's a challenge. And so this trick really kind of takes some of the guesswork out. And you don't actually have to be a degreed artist to put your brows on your face. So first we're going to talk about getting your custom brow shade. And everyone, I think, can start with the Multitasker. And I like to put it in a little jar like this so that it's pre-mixed and I don't have to do it every single day. So I just put a little bit of Multitasker in here, and then you're going to take your foundation shade, and depending on how light or dark your hair is will depend on how much foundation you need to use. Since my hair is fairly light, I'm going to do about a 50-50 blend to start, and then I'm going to mix it up with just the end of a brush here. And what I'm getting here is kind of a taupey brown shade, which would be perfect for me. Actually, I need to add a little bit more foundation to that. Which would work for me. The taupey brown shade would work for me with my natural hair color or if I was blonde. But since I'm a redhead, that's not actually going to work. I'm going to need a little bit more warmth. But generally speaking, you can just add in, yeah, that'll be good. Add in, see I have a nice taupey brown. You can just add in your foundation to Multitasker until you get the right depth of color for your coloring, your hair color, that sort of thing. Most people are going to want a shade that is more on the ashy gray side, just because warm colors in your brows don't really look very natural unless you're a redhead. Since I am a redhead right now, what I'm going to do is add just in a few taps of the dark 3, just to warm it up a tiny bit. I did maybe 2 or 3 taps of the dark 3, just to add a tiny bit of warmth. There we go. I think that's going to be good. So, so then I'm going to take, if you have the Savvy Minerals eyebrow brush, you can start with that. If you don't, you can use whatever brow brush you're comfortable with. I typically use, where is it? I typically use this brush here. It's totally flat at the top, but for sake of demonstration, this one is closer to the shape of the Savvy Minerals brush. I'm going to go ahead and use that. And what I think works best for me is to brush my brows into place first. And I actually do that with soap. I take a spoolie and I wet it, and I get a little bit of soap This is just a Young Living, I think it's the lemon, whichever, lemon sandalwood or whatever, lemon cedar wood. And I just cut a block off. And so I just get a little bit on my spoolie there, and then I'm going to brush my brows into place. And the reason I do this is because my brows are two different shapes. I have more hair in the front on this side and more hair on the tail on this side. And my arches are not in the same spot, and they're just cray. And I have some bald patches that I need to try to fill in a little bit. And I have these like grandpa hairs on the side that just want to fly home to Jesus all the time. So I'm going to try to lay those down a little bit and try to get a good shape going so that when I go to fill in, I don't have to guess so much with the brow powder. Okay, I'm going to brush that up just a tiny bit. And one thing that I learned recently when I went to go get my brows done from my friend Lauren, who is a professional brow artist, she has her own shop, she's amazing, is that you build your arch from the bottom. So that's kind of counterintuitive, I think, to what a lot of people think. You know, they think, you know, this part up here is where you build your arch, but really if you get the shape in right on the bottom, the top is just a natural flow, and it helps to make sure that your brows are more even and symmetrical. So, but before we actually start drawing, we need to do the first trick, which is the main trick. I'm going to wet my brush a little bit here, and I'm going to dip into my brow powder and get my brush nice and coated. Okay, and then I'm going to line my brush up with the side of my nose, and then go up to where my brow starts and put a boop like that. Now, because my brows are different shapes, I want to check in the mirror and make sure that it's pretty symmetrical to where this side starts. And that is. Okay, so then I'm going to reload. Again, put it next to my nose here, but then I'm going to cut through my pupil and put it at the top of the brow, put a dot. That's where my arch needs to be, okay? Again, I'm going to check in the mirror and make sure I'm not overshooting it, okay? And then I'm going to reload one more time. I'm going to line it up next to my nose, and then I'm going to go along the lower lash line and line the top up there. And where the brush hits, that's where my brow stops. And you just want a teeny tiny dot there because it's super thin. And I went a little ham, so I'm just going to wipe that away, and we'll be fine. Okay, so now you have your plot points for your brows, and we're just going to connect the dots. And we're going to start on the bottom. Again, I'm going to wet my brush. It just works better for me that way. Get some product on here, take off a little bit of the excess, and then I'm going to start connecting the dots and filling in any blank spots that I have. So I'm going to draw a line. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, okay, good. I'm going to draw a line up to the arch there, okay? And then another thing that she told me is when you're filling in on the bottom and you're doing your tail, you're going to go out with your strokes, okay? Then we're going to go on the top. Now, if you feel like, you know, your line is a little heavy, why is this wet? That's weird. My spoolie is wet, and it shouldn't be. You can brush through to blend it in a little bit more. Okay? Now, load up your brush one more time, and we're going to connect the dots again. Again, trying to get symmetrical with the line on the other side. And when you're doing your tail from the top, you just come down, just like that. Bloop. And then fill in, stroking up from the bottom. And then you can go back and check, and if you need to even up a little bit, do any little touch-ups, but you shouldn't, if your eyebrows are not stupid like mine, you shouldn't have to do that. But yeah, that's actually pretty good, y'all, considering what my brows normally look like. So yeah, my friend Kendra demoed this on her page. I'm just gonna fill in a little bit more. What I would recommend too is typically the inner part here is lighter and less filled in than the rest. This part right here would be your darkest area, right there in the arch, and then the tail kind of fades away as well. There you go. So, and then, you know, you can go through with brow gel if you want, but I do the soap first, so I really don't need brow gel afterwards. And yeah, there you go. So line your brush up with the side of your nose, and you go boop, 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 and those are the plot points for filling in your brows. Start at the bottom, create your arch from the bottom, go out on the tail on the bottom, and down on the tail on the top, and run a spoolie through the inner parts of your brows to make them look more natural. I hope that you found that helpful. If so, give this video a thumbs up before you leave. If you have any comments or questions, you can pop those down in the comment section below. I'd love to chat with you there. You can also find me on Savvy Girls Guide on Facebook or SavvyGirlsGuide_YL on Instagram. I'd love to chat with you there too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.